Okay, Liz, I'm going to let you dive right into it. Let me give you access to share. Do you have a presentation that you're doing?
Yes, I do. I should be able to share.
Does it give you that permission?
Not yet.
Okay, hold on. Let me try to do this. I never did this on the phone before. Security. Okay, I think you should be able to now.
Okay, perfect. Let's try this.
Liz, thank you for doing this. You have been so just like on fire lately. So motivating, so inspiring to me, always encouraging me when I'm slacking off. So I know that this is going to motivate me and everyone who watches it. I love you. Thank you.
Yes, of course. And yeah, on this call, that's basically what I'm going to be talking about, is just like how to stay motivated and be stoked. So yeah, I'll just get right into it now. So the last call that we had, Claire talked about confidence. She called it Confidence 101, and she basically just went in and gave us all really good advice and told us all like what we needed to hear. And that call left me really motivated, and this is kind of like a follow-up call to that, where like this is all the information that you'll need to fuel that motivation into something, like what you actually need to do with that feeling and how to kind of maintain that motivation over time. So yeah, I'm going to break down like the qualities of success and how to find motivation, but first I'm going to show you guys a video. I'm not going to show the whole thing because it's really long, but I want to watch the first like 10 minutes or so, or like 5 or 10 minutes. And this is just like really impactful and like a good example to think about everything we're about to talk about.
How do you explain when things don't go as we assume? Or better, how do you explain when others are able to achieve things that seem to defy all of the assumptions? For example, why is Apple so innovative? Year after year after year after year, they're more innovative than all their competition. And yet they're just a computer company. They're just like everyone else. They have the same access to the same talent, the same agencies, the same consultants, the same media. Then why is it that they seem to have something different? Why is it that Martin Luther King led the civil rights movement? He wasn't the only man who suffered in a pre-civil rights America, and he certainly wasn't the only great orator of the day. Why him? And why is it that the Wright brothers were able to figure out controlled powered manned flight when there were certainly other teams who were better qualified, better funded, and they didn't achieve powered manned flight, and the Wright brothers beat them to it? There's something else at play here. About 3.5 years ago, I made a discovery, and this discovery profoundly changed my view on how I thought the world worked, and it even profoundly changed the way in which I operate in it. As it turns out, there's a pattern. As it turns out, all the great and inspiring leaders and organizations in the world, whether it's Apple or Martin Luther King or the Wright brothers, they all think, act, and communicate the exact same way. And it's the complete opposite to everyone else. All I did was codify it. And it's probably the world's simplest idea. I call it the golden circle. Why, how, what? This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Let me define the terms really quickly. Every single person, every single organization on the planet knows what they do 100%. Some know how they do it, whether you call it your differentiating value proposition or your proprietary process or your USP. But very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make a profit. That's a result. It's always a result. By why, I mean, what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And why should anyone care? Well, as a result, the way we think, the way we act, the way we communicate is from the outside in. It's obvious. We go from the clearest thing to the fuzziest thing. But the inspired leaders and the inspired organizations, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Let me give you an example. I use Apple because they're easy to understand and everybody gets it. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Meh. And that's how most of us communicate. That's how most marketing is done. That's how most sales is done. And that's how most of us communicate interpersonally. We say what we do. We say how we're different or how we better, and we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, a vote, something like that. Here's our new law firm. We have the best lawyers with the biggest clients. We have, we always perform for our clients, do business with us. Here's our new car. It gets great gas mileage. It has, leather seats. Buy our car. But it's uninspiring. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? You're ready to buy a computer from me. All I did was reverse the order of the information. What it proves to us is that people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This explains why every single person in this room is perfectly comfortable buying a computer from Apple. But we're also perfectly comfortable buying an MP3 player from Apple, or a phone from Apple, or a DVR from Apple. But as I said before, Apple's just a computer company. There's nothing that distinguishes them structurally from any of their competitors. Their competitors are all equally qualified to make all of these products. In fact, they tried. A few years ago, Gateway came out with flat screen TVs. They're eminently qualified to make flat screen TVs. They've been making flat screen monitors for years. Nobody bought one. And Dell came out with MP3 players and PDAs. And they make great quality products, and they can make perfectly well-designed products, and nobody bought one. In fact, talking about it now, we can't even imagine buying an MP3 player from Dell. Why would you buy an MP3 player from a computer company? But we do it every day. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. The goal is not to do business with everybody who needs what you have. The goal is to do business with people who believe what you believe. Here's the best part. None of what I'm telling you is my opinion. It's all grounded in the tenets of biology, not psychology, biology. If you look at a cross-section of the human brain, looking from the top down, what you see is the human brain is actually broken into three major components that correlate perfectly with the golden circle. Our newest brain, our Homo sapien brain, our neocortex, corresponds with the what level. The neocortex is responsible for all of our rational and analytical thought and language. The middle two sections make up our limbic brains, and our limbic brains are responsible for all of our feelings, like trust and loyalty. It's also responsible for all human behavior, all decision-making, and it has no capacity for language. In other words, when we communicate from the outside in, yes, people can understand vast amounts of complicated information like features and benefits and facts and figures. It just doesn't drive behavior. When we communicate from the inside out, we're talking directly to the part of the brain that controls behavior, and then we allow people to rationalize it with the tangible things we say and do. This is where gut decisions come from. Sometimes you can give somebody all the facts and your figures, and they say, I know what all the facts and details say, but it just doesn't feel right. Why would we use that verb? It doesn't feel right, because the part of the brain that controls decision-making doesn't control language. And the best we can muster up is, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. Or sometimes you say you're leading with your heart or you're leading with your soul. Well, I hate to break it to you, those aren't other body parts controlling your behavior. It's all happening here in your limbic brain, the part of the brain that controls decision-making and not language. But if you don't know why you do what you do, and people respond to why you do what you do, then how will you ever get people to vote for you or buy something from you, or more importantly, be loyal and want to be a part of what it is that you do? Again, the goal is not just to sell people who need what you have. The goal is to sell to people who believe what you believe. The goal is not just to hire people who need a job. It's to hire people who believe what you believe. I always say that, there's if you hire people just because they can do a job, they'll work for your money. But if you hire people who believe what you believe, they work for you with blood and sweat and tears. And nowhere else is there a better example of this than with the Wright brothers. Most people don't know about Samuel Pierpont Langley. And back in the early 20th century, the pursuit of powered man flight was like the dot-com of the day. Everybody was trying it. And Samuel Pierpont Langley had what we assume to be the recipe for success. I mean, even now, you ask people, why did your product or why did your company fail? And people always give you the same permutation of the same three things. Undercapitalized, the wrong people, bad market conditions. It's always the same three things. So let's explore that. Samuel Pierpont Langley was given $50,000 by the War Department to figure out this flying machine. Money was no problem. He held a seat at Harvard and worked at the Smithsonian and was extremely well connected. He knew all the big minds of the day. He hired the best minds money could find, and the market conditions were fantastic. The New York Times followed him around everywhere, and everyone was rooting for Langley. And how come we've never heard of Samuel Pierpont Langley? A few hundred miles away in Dayton, Ohio, Orville and Wilbur Wright. They had none of what we consider to be the recipe for success. They had no money. They paid for their dream with the proceeds from their bicycle shop. Not a single person on the Wright brothers team had a college education, not even Orville or Wilbur. And the New York Times followed them around nowhere. The difference was Orville and Wilbur were driven by a cause, by a purpose, by a belief. They believed that if they could figure out this flying machine, it'll change the course of the world.
Okay, I'm gonna stop the video there. But I just thought that was such a good example, like even just the Wright brothers. Like maybe it's just personal to me because I'm from somewhere that's like 2 hours outside of the Outer Banks, but just the fact that you don't need, like, even if you have all the money in the world to do what you think you want to do, if you don't have the passion and the drive to actually do it, it doesn't matter. Like you can have all the resources, but if you don't have that energy behind it, you're never ever going to actually succeed. So let's actually get into the call. Let's define success. Like, what is success? And from society's standpoint, someone who is successful is defined more by their resilience and perseverance than their material possessions, social status, or like finances. Someone who is successful is someone who is willing to just fail over and over and over again and always get back up. And that's what perseverance is just being persistent in doing something despite how difficult it is or how long it takes to do it. And resilience is just the capacity to like withstand challenges and know that it's not always going to be easy. So perseverance and resilience, defining success, is like also the ability to be disciplined for a long period of time. Like, how can you commit yourself to something and stick to it and really plant your flag with it and dedicate everything, like all of your time and energy and finances into that one thing? And how can you, like, what is your thing that you have such blind faith in that you're willing to just completely repeatedly fail and still get back up every time? Because we all have this burning desire inside of us. A lot of it is just like, if you don't know what that is for you, it's just clouded, and you have the ability to find out what this thing is. And not to say that this is your life purpose, but even like for a lot of us here in this space, like that burning desire and passion inside of us is for our businesses within Agic and the ability to create more freedom in life. And yeah, so you also don't have to be like the most well off to be successful. And that story of the Wright brothers is the perfect example. Like, they had no reason to be the ones to be the first in flight, but they did. Like, they weren't the richest, they whatever, like they didn't have all the things, but they made it happen. So yeah, you just don't have to be the smartest or the fittest one in the room to be the most successful. You just have to be the most determined at the end of the day. And that is really like society's perspective of success, I feel like, too. And like on the surface level, it's like, oh, especially in America, like the top billionaires, you might think of like Elon Musk and like Jeff Bezos, but like that's not really what I'm getting into on this call, because success is more than just like the ability to create like $1 billion, or yeah, like there's just more that goes into it. So I defined 4 main principles on this call. This is the first principle, and this goes over the main qualities of success. So I'm going to break down each one of these points. And all of these are qualities of someone who is successful. Like, someone who's successful is doing all of these things. There's obviously more, but these are just like the main ones that I felt are most relevant. So finding your why. This is always the first step, and it's always super cliche. Like finding your why, finding your vision, but that's literally the most important part, because you have to know what you're working towards, and you have to be really, really specific about it. Like, goal setting and working towards something, you can will often get dragged out if you are unclear, because you'll keep getting things that aren't what you actually want. So ask yourself, what's your thing? Like, what would you regret not doing? And I'll give you a personal example. Like, for everyone who's in the enagic business space, I like literally scheduled a call with Claire a couple months ago, and I was like, this isn't for me. I'm gonna stop. Like, this business is, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I've failed. I obviously, like, this isn't meant for me. And literally all I needed to do was take a step away from it. And what made me realize that it was meant for me and that it was something that I wanted to come back to was the fact that I would have regretted not doing it. Like, I would have been jealous of people who did make it happen for themselves. And that's also a good standpoint to come from if you are unclear about what you want, is also, like, first of all, knowing what you don't want, but then also being able to see when you feel jealous or even hate towards people who are living a certain type of way, because when you're jealous, you're really just seeing something that you want, but deep down feel like you're not worthy of achieving or having in your life. So being jealous is often, like, you can look at that as a good thing, because you kind of know, like, you can use it as a director. But seriously, like, stop playing small. I'm not going to be like super harsh on this call. So like, I'm not going to be nice either, but like, this is literally your life. And we are literally the only ones who are in our own way. And it's so easy to just get stuck in your head and like into these cycles of like procrastination and whatever it is. But it's like, we need to get serious. And everything does start as a vision. And that is the first step. And I don't mean that you have to sit down and create a vision board. I mean that you need to sit down and get really specific about what you want and like figuring out what that actually looks like. And it doesn't have to be like quitting your 9 to 5 to drink Mai Tais on the beach and like move to Thailand to live a laptop lifestyle with like on the beach all day. It can literally be like finding your why to like never have to worry about the prices of groceries or like have ease in terms of like the inflation that's happening in the States right now. Like, it can be anything and make it relevant to your life. It doesn't always, like, not everything has to be about this business if you are in this business. But the second quality of someone who is successful is having tunnel vision and being able to take goals to the finish line, because there's such a huge difference between 99% done and 100% done, especially in sales. But just like, how dedicated can you stay to your goals? Like, you're gonna fail and it's gonna be hard, and that's just unavoidable, and you have to know that. But you also have to know that the reward is always going to be like, there's always going to be a higher reward when things are not easy. But yeah, like having shiny object syndrome is what makes people fail usually, because people who are successful are consistent in the sense that they just have tunnel vision towards one thing. Like, such an easy example for us is like within this space, our magic business is like one thing that we can kind of focus on and like pour our energy in towards that. But like another goal would be like fitness goals or like financial goals, or like just picking one thing that is out of reach, that is big enough that would take you like a month to accomplish, and just like focusing all of your energy towards that until you accomplish that thing, and kind of just learning how to constantly be in that cycle of going from one goal to the next. The next quality of people who are successful is having a superiority complex, like literally just believing that you are better and worthy of more in life. And that is not even really a narcissistic thing, but just like an energetic thing, like what you feel like you're worthy of having in your life in terms of the lifestyle that you live and the people that you're around and all of that. Which also goes hand in hand with being insecure about not being enough. I call it the superiority insecurity complex, just like believing that you're better, but then also constantly thinking that you're not good enough. And those just like going hand in hand, and just being in a constant cycle of feeling like that is something that typically pushes people who are successful, because that is like a really common mindset, I feel like, between people who are successful, is just like having almost anxiety, like just being anxious and not like people, because think about it, like people who are lazy are just comfortable. So this is just kind of like a mindset you can put yourself into to push yourself. And also having impulse control, like giving up short-term satisfaction for delayed gratification, which we all talk about, but how can you actually implement this like in your everyday life when you're being faced with these impulses? How can you like learn to say no to that and catch yourself before you give in, and like learning how to catch yourself? Because a lot of success and reaching your goals has to do with restriction and taking things away, and like almost creating a life that you don't want to live at first, in order for you to live the life that you do want to live. So that you're basically giving up what you want now for what you want most. Like, it will always get you farther in the long run to do what's best for you in the long term. But the next quality of success is just having a growth mindset. Like, how can you just constantly be learning and never believing that you know it all? Like, you can always learn more no matter how successful you are, especially like along the journey. And just being able to take constructive criticism, because if you feel like you have it all figured out, then you're never really going to grow. You have to be able to implement other people's opinions of your work, especially, so that you can see outside perspectives and just blind sides to what you're doing. And a part of this is also just being able to take hate, especially if you're in the space, like content creation space online, just having a really thick skin, like being secure in what you're doing and in your message and in your offer, and just knowing that, like, just being confident in what you're saying and like not letting that get to you. So ask yourself, how can you put yourself in a position to learn more? Like, how can you just be doing things that just be using your time more intentionally, like just stimulating yourself? I mean, obviously, the most obvious is reading, but like something that would be more fun would be joining classes, like just things that you've never done before, like fitness classes are an easy one, but like something artistic, like even painting or pottery or like ballet. I don't know. Like I've always wanted to do gymnastics. But there's also like Facebook groups and stuff that you can join of like different people doing different things, like clubs. And another random example I thought of is just like Duolingo. Instead of just sitting on your phone, that's something that you can be doing if you're interested in learning another language or just traveling in general. Obviously, it's good to know the language of where you're going. And the last quality of people who are successful is networking. I would love to go to one of Enagic's networking events somewhere, but just in general with networking, people who are successful are always going to have people who they look up to and like coaches and mentors that they learned from. A successful coach is not going to just like say that they learned it all and like they did everything. And also just like being a part of a community, whether that be something like this, like our We Soul Rich community, but also like community in real life. Like I find community through my yoga studio, or like some people find community through church, or just like other groups and stuff that I just named. But just like getting out there and meeting new people and putting yourself in a situation to be approachable and just like in an environment with people that you wouldn't usually be talking to, because you really never know what's up with people. And I've learned as a server to never judge a book by its cover, because people will often surprise you. But the second principle, like the second main principle that I've outlined, is how to step into a leadership role, because there's a lot of different qualities that define leadership and like what it feels like to step into like a leader. But in general, a good leader will make you feel safe, whether that be, like an example would be if you were out in a grocery store or something and the cashier for some reason yelled at you and freaked out over an interaction and was like scared of getting in trouble, and like that's why they were yelling at you over the interaction. That is a result of them feeling scared of management and their leaders being like poor leaders, if that makes sense. Like the fear is trickling down through the tiers of management into the employees. So a good leader is going to make you feel safe to do what you need to do, whether that be a job or stepping up like just authentically and confidently as a person in life. So the four principles, or like the four qualities that make up leadership, first is expression, like how you communicate, how you express yourself, especially as a woman, like the energy that you give off, your vibe. This is really important. Like two people could walk on stage and give the same exact speech, but the way that they communicated it is going to leave the crowds feeling two completely different ways. Second, self-care, how you treat yourself. This goes way deeper than going to get your nails done and doing a bath with essential oils. Like it's more about saying no when you are about to be burnt out, and knowing when you need to like take a step back in life. And it's just like the things that you know that you need to do for yourself, and it's not really more about like beauty things, it's more about like the things in life that are going to actually make you feel good in the long run. Yeah. So next, security. How you handle criticism. Like how can you show up with your offer and stand so confidently in that and so secure that you can just handle criticism and have it just kind of bounce off of you. Like just take the hate and not let it phase you at all, just like going right over your head, because you know that first of all, it's like almost a test, I feel like, in life, to see if you are actually as passionate about what you're speaking of. It's like when you start to be polarizing and trigger people. But knowing that you really have to be secure within yourself, or else other people aren't going to feel safe with you either. So next is confidence. This one's obvious and it's how you feel about yourself, but it really goes deep, and Claire kind of broke down everything, like all those principles in the last call that we had, but it's something that, like, all of these principles are something that you can't, this is an embodiment. And I say that because I have recently had new managers come through the place that I work at, and I will always, and I stand behind what I'm about to say, is that you cannot teach someone how to be a manager. You either have manager energy or you don't have manager energy. Like, you can't teach someone how to, like, be a good leader. I mean, obviously I'm like trying to teach you that now and like outlining these principles, but it's like you either walk into a room with that energy and people will respect that, or you don't. And it's something that you can kind of feel about someone immediately because it's not really spoken. You can feel it. I'll go back to this video if we have time, or I'll send the link after the call, but this one's really good. It's the same guy from the first video, and he's talking about why the millennial generation has been failing and why we are resisting like the constructs of the society that we're in right now. But I'll go back to it at the end. So the third main principle is how to maintain motivation. And if you're not motivated, you're not stoked on your vision. Like, you have to find that thing that makes you feel so excited and so stoked about your life, and have such blind faith in that one thing, even though everyone around you doesn't believe or see in it, that is what is going to actually push you and make you get out of bed and do things when you don't want to do them, because you're going to have to often do things when it doesn't feel good. Like, when you're on the road to success, it's not all rainbows and butterflies. You're not just like making your little cute like Pinterest to-do lists and like sitting on your computer or whatever, like how we envision it, but it's more about pushing yourself to do the things that you don't want to do. And that is like getting out of your comfort zone and like releasing and like getting rid of the things in your life that are keeping you stuck, and which is inherently keeping you in your comfort zone. So literally do it for the haters. Like, put yourself out there more and be more polarizing, and do it literally just to prove them wrong. Like, let people comment stupid stuff on your TikToks and just like keep going. And it literally doesn't matter, because you have to have something that's going to fuel you, and something that is bigger than your drive for money or like a material thing or even freedom. Like, something that it's like you have to crave that sense of accomplishment. And just kind of getting yourself to that point. And if you're not stoked on your vision, then you need to start connecting with the people who are actually living the life that you want to be living. Because when you start to see someone else actually living it, you'll start to be like, oh my God, wait, I'm missing out. Like, why am I waiting? Like, I don't know why we keep ourselves so stuck in, like, it's because we're human beings, and like obviously we just want to exist on this planet and just like be comfortable and like lay around and like not have to work. But in the like, this is the reality. Like, we have to do things in life, and you can live a lifestyle of leisure like that, but you kind of have to work in order to make that happen. Like, you have to put in a lot of work in order to have to not work at all. So yeah, I don't know. For me, like, connecting with people who are like, here, I'll just say this. When I was traveling, I met somebody who was like 6A at an Enagic, and she was just like actively living the lifestyle that I wanted to live. Like, she was making really good money with her Kangen business and also like another coaching business. And she just was like traveling full time, and I really admired her lifestyle, and like I was kind of living that, but not in the sense that she was, because she was making a lot more money and like I was just kind of living off of savings. So point being, connecting with somebody who's actually where I wanted to be helped push me and motivate me, because I, for one, saw that it was possible for myself, and two, felt the urgency to like make it happen. So the 4 principles making up motivation. First is going to be your why. Like we talked about this in the beginning, but you have to get serious and real with yourself. Like motivation is fueled by urgency, and urgency is fueled by feeling like you're missing out. Like what I was saying, like I saw somebody who was living the life that I wanted to live, and I was like, well, I'm not living that life, but I could be. Why am I not like putting in the work to get there? Like it's like so clear to me that it can happen, that it's possible, because it's right there. So that created urgency for me. And the second quality of maintaining motivation is longevity, like just being able to commit to something and do it for a long time. But like when you decide to make a change in your life and you are serious about it, your entire life is going to shift. Like people will fall out of your life, and like situations might happen. You might be put in situations that you feel like are bad, and you question and you're like, why is this happening to me? But along the journey, you have to understand that it's all just puzzle pieces coming together, and that you just have to keep going. Some of success is literally just being the last man standing. Like just being the one who never gave up, and just the only one who made it to the finish line because they believed in it, like who like literally just kept going. Community. This will help you maintain motivation in the sense that you'll have a support system, but ask yourself how you're showing up within your community too. Like take a, like all of this is basically just a big mirror that you can put in front of yourself, and that is the goal. And it's being able, success is being able to look in the mirror at all the things that you don't want to face and actually facing them and doing something about it. So ask yourself, how are you showing up within, if you have a coach, like how do you show up as the person being coached? Like, are you coachable? And like, are you implementing the things that your coach is like telling you, or are you just like asking somebody for free advice? Also, you could find accountability partners to hype you up. Like I did this at one point, and it really helped me for a couple months, just like basically having somebody who I would text every day, and like we would just update each other on like all the little things that we were doing. Like we would just wake up every day and be like, hey, here's all the things that I want to do today. And then we would just like check up on each other throughout the day and like see if we did them. It was cool. It was one of my friends, so it worked out well. But yeah, also like within our community, like if you're within this We Soul Rich community, ask yourself, are you inviting people into this community and hyping it up and saying that like this is so great and this helps you as a resource, but then like you don't even show up? Like I don't like, yeah, like just ask yourself, like, are you trying to sell this business in this community and get other people to believe in this and like buy into this, but then like you don't even show up to calls, or like you're too scared to turn on the camera, or like you don't post anything in the groups, or like whatever. Like point being is like you have to participate in life and for this business, like that is key. Moving on though, organization is something that is so key for motivation, because when you're unorganized, you tend to quit because you're like, oh, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, so I'm just not going to do anything at all. But seriously, getting a calendar, like I'm looking at it right now, it's on my fridge. I have a whiteboard calendar that I bought a couple months ago, and no joke, it has helped me and shifted my life, because it helps me just be so much more organized with my time management by understanding and seeing when I'm working, like what my schedule is, when I have free time, when I have off, when I can do these calls, like when I can like have free time for this business, and like when I can travel and go out of town and all the things for my life, that for time blocking. But then also having checklists. I'm religious with the notes app on my phone. Having checklists and just like notes and writing everything down, this is so key for you. And like, I am emphasizing this because if you're unorganized, you're delaying your process of growth. Being organized helps you just like it just helps you sit down and like condense your time by putting everything together all at once, so that you don't have to think about it for a while, and it can just like kind of be how it is. Fourth principle of success is discipline. This is learning how to get up in the morning when you don't want to. It's learning how to say no to your friends, and saying no to going out drinking and going out on spending money if you're trying to save money. And it's like cutting out Netflix and too much time on social media, and it's like starting to eat healthier and all of these things, not because like you think that you should be doing them, or like someone told you to, but it's because you know that it's literally going to serve you. Like, it's going to make you feel better, and it's going to make you more successful in the long run. Discipline is restriction. Reaching your goals is restriction. And that's just how it is. If you want to reach your goals, but then also give yourself all the things that you want, you're just delaying the process. You're never actually going to like reach the finish line, which is what I was saying, like the difference between 99% there and 100% there. Like, it's a big difference. Think about that with sales. 99% there is, oh, I want to invest. But 100% there is, here's my credit card number and I'm ready to start this business, and I'm like committed, and I'm ready to like start taking real action towards my dreams and my goals, and like making shifts within my finances. Like, that's 100% there. Because 99% there is not really much different than 5% there. You're not all the way committed. And in terms of discipline, I mean, I hosted a whole call about dopamine and just like hacking your system a little bit that way. But in short, you have to, like, back to what I was saying about restriction, like learning and understanding that when you wake up in the morning, and if you grab your phone and you scroll on social media first thing when you wake up in the morning, that's an addiction. That is dopamine. I'm guilty of this too. Like, you don't have to feel bad. Everyone's guilty of this. And it's like, if you don't feel bad about yourself about like anything, if you are not like taking action towards your goals, it's not doing anything. Like, being hard on yourself is not cute, and it's not productive. It's not going to actually get you anywhere. What's going to get you somewhere is putting all of your emotions aside and literally just getting up and doing the work and just like starting. And yeah, like, just procrastinating is literally just avoiding uncomfortable feelings. If you're procrastinating something, it's because you're avoiding the feeling of what's going to happen when you do that thing. When in reality, the procrastination and the delay is, and like your idea and anxiety about what you're going to do is always actually going to be worse than doing it. Your idea of what it's going to be like is always worse than what it's actually like. So yeah, all in all, if you embody and implement all of those qualities, you'll find success. And it's like, I can tell you, like, you already know all of these things, and I can tell you this stuff all day long, but until you implement it, you'll never actually see a change in your life. You can watch all of our calls. You can make all the goal lists and like vision boards and manifestations and all the things, and you can announce it on your stories and tell the world, but nothing will actually change in your life until you start to make real shifts and do things that are uncomfortable. And next thing is that, like, if you are feeling stuck in your life, you're not actually stuck. You're living a life in outdated patterns that you created to protect yourself from past traumas, and you're now trying to apply that, which is an old formula, into your new life. So you need to make a huge shift. Like, if you feel stuck, I don't mean like go to a gym and like work out 4 times a week. If you feel stuck in life, I mean, do something drastic, like invest $10,000 into a coach, or like literally flying across the world by yourself for a week and just like solo traveling. Or like, I don't want to give bad advice, but just like doing just like something crazy and drastic in your life that you would never usually do, that it like kind of almost shocks your system, where you're like, wait, like what's going on? That's going to make a change in your life, because making a shift and doing something different and getting out of your normal routine is going to create different neural pathways in your brain, and you're going to have new ideas and different ideas that you wouldn't usually have before. We're never actually stuck. We're just, like, the literal definition of insanity is repeating the same thing and expecting a different result, and that's all that it is when we feel stuck. Like, we create all these stories about why we think we need to stay where we are, and in reality we're just delaying the process. Like, I learned this example from a young age, from a job that I was meant to be leaving, and like all the signs were pointing towards me being out the door, but like I wouldn't just quit because I was too attached with emotions, that I ended up having to like make it be at the point where I got fired. Like, when I could have just like, instead of creating excuses about why I was stuck and needed to stay and I couldn't quit, I could have just left and started my new path earlier. So yeah, we're just constantly in a cycle of like delaying our own growth. And one thing that I'll say to be aware of, and that I have recently noticed about myself and people around me, is to be conscious of being in a cycle of constantly wanting to improve your life, but not actually doing it. And this comes back to the implementation thing. Like, you have to take action. You can't just like, if you're just constantly in a cycle of like, I'm manifesting my goals, like this year I want my business to blow up this year, like whatever, like put all that aside and literally just like cut out the noise and put in the work, and that will get you where you want to go. And that's kind of like at the point that I'm at now. So we talked about all the qualities of success, but here's some signs of failure. And like, if you do these things, don't feel bad. It's just more about like being aware and like learning how to shift these mindsets, which I will explain. So if you feel victim and you blame your circumstances, that is a sign of failure, because you're not in a driven mindset. Like, you're feeling like life is happening to you instead of for you, and not everything is for you, but just in the sense that like you feel like you're not in control and that like bad things are just happening to you, instead of like getting up and taking like real action. Another sign of failure is like waiting for a sign or like the perfect time to start something. This is why I didn't post anything for New Year's resolutions. I almost made a passive aggressive post, but I didn't, about like not wanting to hear people's New Year's resolutions, because like, I don't want to hear about your New Year's resolutions. I want to hear about what you're going to be doing in life and how you're going to be feeling 6 months from now, when it's in the middle of summer and your excitement about New Year's resolutions has passed and you didn't accomplish unrealistic goals that you set, because that's often what happens. So we're going to, like, I'm about to break down an exercise for how to reach your goals, but another sign of failure is like shiny object syndrome, which we talked about earlier, but just like manifestations and just like setting like really extreme and out of pocket goals, like especially ones that are marketed online, like I want to have a $10,000 month, but like in reality, like making $10,000 a month is like super average, and like that's like, I don't know, like my perception of money might just be like altered because I live in California now, but like $120,000 salary in California is like pretty average and mids. Like you can live like an average, like normal life here. Like it's not like that where I'm from, but like still just saying $10,000 a month is like the baseline. But the people pleasing is something that has been really big for me recently, because I had this video go viral and it just got like so much hate. And it's like, I started to find this account that was making these good girl posts. They just have been resonating, where she like breaks down hate comments from people, and she'll talk about how like your inner good girl will want to people please people and like give them what they want, but she goes against that, and she like teaches how to set boundaries and things like that. So anyways, here's the cherry on top of this call. This is an exercise to actually reach your goals this year, and this is not something that is like, this is not a New Year's resolution challenge. This is not a sprint. This is not like something that you need to like promote or like pressure yourself for. Like this is literally like how you actually reach goals and sustain them over time. And this is like my personal outline to what I do. And I have a screenshot on the next slide that shows you what it looks like. But basically what you do is you just set like 3 to 5 general, like main, like long-term goals. But then each month you create a monthly checklist where you can just kind of see like in your life where you have time for things and how like life happens, and like how you can see the big things that you want to accomplish for the month, so that you have like a reference point to go back to when you have free time in life, so that you could just have this thing that, you know, like when you have a day off from work and it's your weekend, like this is what you need to be working towards. Like you need to be doing the things to cross those things off that list. And this also goes back to like the norepinephrine and dopamine thing, like creating lists and checking things off daily. But then also like these monthly lists are really helpful because it just makes you feel super accomplished, like you're setting momentum when you're like starting to cross things off a list. It's really motivating to be like, oh well, I've only crossed off one thing for the month and it's like the 15th, so you need to start doing stuff. It's not a good feeling to have to like move things over to the next month because you procrastinated them, you know. So this will be like a main reference point for you to do like to-do lists and for like what you put on your calendars. So this is not my personal one, but this is exactly the outline that I use, and I created this example for the call. So you don't have to use these like these categories for like the 5 big goals. This is just an example that I wrote out for you guys. Like for example, for me, like I want, like my big goal for this year is I want to buy a new car. Like that's one of them. And yeah, so some examples, like mine is like kind of more like right now like geared towards like personal goals and like things that I need to do in like my like personal life. But if you were to create one, like these are just like examples. So like say if like this is an outline and an exercise and an example to show you how to set goals. So if you say that your goal is that you want to make a sale in your business, like if you work with an say that you are like, I want to sell 1 trifecta this month. That's not a tangible goal. You can't and you can't do anything to ensure that that's going to happen. You have to set goals of things that you can make that happen. For another example, money. Money is not money should not be the goal that you're working towards. It is the result of the goals that you're setting, if that makes sense. So for an example, if I say I want to make a sale in my business this month, I'm not going to write that on my goal sheet. I'm going to write down things that were going to make me a sale, like doing things that are going to gain me 500 followers on Instagram, which would entail me posting a bunch of my archived content that I have deep in my phone straight to Instagram Reels, and just also being generally consistent with posting. Or reaching a certain amount of followers, or like scheduling a certain number of calls in a week, or like starting conversations with people in a day, or like how many posts in a day. These are things that are going to get you to like the thing that you want. So think about the result and then break down like all the things that you need to like actually get to that point. So like I, for example, in general, like I just kind of want to be more productive. Or sorry, I just got a message on my phone. I got distracted. I want to be more healthy in life. So I can't put a goal on a goal sheet that says like I want to be healthy, because that's not a tangible or you can't accomplish that goal. But in order for me to be healthy, I would do things like go to yoga and cook at home and like not eat out and like start taking supplements and do like a self-care routine and things like that. So yeah, that's just something that is like just really important to be aware of, and that will actually help you bridge the gap to your goals and your dreams, is learning how to set goals that are tangible, that you can actually accomplish, that are not results. Like think about your results to fuel your why and your vision, but the actual step-by-step actions to get there are very specific and small and like something that you can physically check off. So this is the end of the call. There's just some quotes that I wanted to share that I thought were really cool. I did not write these and I don't know who did. I got them off of Pinterest, but self-sabotage is knowing exactly what you need to do to improve, but not doing it. It's procrastinating doing the very things that you know that will make you happier. It's waiting till things are 100% perfect till you do them, but if that, of course, never happens. It's remaining in the comfort zone because of the fear of failure or uneasiness of change. Point being, we are all self-sabotaging. You can read the rest, but this one also hit really hard, which is to make a radical change in your life. I'm not going to read this whole thing to you, but like my own words and like my version of this would be to just like start taking this more seriously. Like if you're not taking it seriously, then you're too comfortable. Like you need to get more uncomfortable in life. And if you're not if you don't have a clear vision, then you need to like sit down and figure out what that is, because if you're just going to keep living on autopilot, and that's going to result in you having regrets in life. And it's just like you can catch it now and you can start putting in the work now, or you can procrastinate 2 years and then 2 years later you're going to be like, oh, I should have started 2 years ago. You could just start now. This is like my vision board background on my desktop, to just like constantly be looking at things like this. It's like pretty outdated. I need to update it. This was like from before I moved to California, and now these things are in my literal life. Like this picture on the right, like these pictures are literally what it looks like here, and like some pictures of Hawaii. I'm about to go to Hawaii. For example, like one big goal on my list this year is that I want to buy a K8, because I started my business with a SD 501. And yeah, I don't know, I should have never done that. Major fuck up. Sorry for cussing, but like seriously, like regret it on the daily. So I want to buy a K8, and I don't know if that means like someone's gonna buy my machine or what. I think that was the end of the call. I just exit out of it. I don't know how to stop this. Okay. I'm gonna look at the chat now, see if you guys had any questions, but you can always just unmute yourself.
Hey bud, that was so sick, dude. You freaking killed that. The chat's mostly just me cracking jokes by myself.
I love to see it. Yeah, like not being so easily offended, that was a huge one for me, and something that I'm still like implementing. I feel like I am very easily offended, to be honest, and I need to chill. Like I just recently have been like just on this journey of like anxiety and like dealing with that in my nervous system, and what's helped me the most recently is literally just being in my own body, like really just like being in the present moment and like landing in my body and learning that. Just point being, like when you're secure within yourself, like you're not so offendable. If they don't feel safe, they won't want to do it, Claire said. That is very true when it comes to leadership. Like we want our content to make people feel safe. Like that's so true. And that is why, like, it's my main selling point within this community, to be honest. Like when people ask me within this business about why I'm a part of this team and not others, is because this is a safe space. Like from my personal experience, like this team was like intimate and authentic enough for me to feel safe to start from the bottom and like start hosting these calls when I was like super young and like not confident and had no idea what I was talking about. And now I can kind of like hop on these calls and host these for you guys. Not to say that this is like super easy, but it's like not super difficult for me. Like I'm confident, I'm not anxious, like I'm just kind of chilling on my couch, and like that's the way that it should be. And yeah, I did do it for the haters. Literally, Claire, that's what she said in the comments. But it's like, for me, like, like one of my biggest, like the person who wants to see me fail the most is my ex-boyfriend. So it's like, I do it for him, like just for him to hate me. Like just because he wants me to fail so bad. Like, just to prove him wrong.
Taylor, what'd you say? Sorry.
I said, just for you, boo boo.
Just for you, boo boo.
I love that.
Signs you'll fail. I just like so
I
bored.
was dead. I was like, Liz, you're cracking me up right now.
No, but it's so true. Like, it's something that we all need to hear. And like, I don't mean to like, I almost wanted this call to kind of just be a mirror, like all the things that we don't want to hear, but know that we need to hear.
Yeah. It was definitely that, Liz. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Yeah.
Claire said in the comment, oh, sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. I was gonna say, like, the one thing that I'm trying to like, I guess, embody or just be this year is like, if I want someone to join my Kangen Warrior team, like what would I want them to be doing? Like I would want them like going after it at this point. Like I can't just sit around and like envision all these things to happen and not actually be the person that I want to work with, if that makes sense. Like basically leadership by first leading myself. So
exactly.
That's what, like, how am I going to lead myself and like do it? So, and I'm learning that, like that one thing that you said about, you said something where like when you think about the it, like it's harder to like, what did you say?
I said to find your thing. Like, what's the thing that you would regret not doing?
That one, but it was like thinking about the thing is harder than actually doing it. Yes. And I've been seeing that like come up so much in my life, like every single day. Like I've been waking up at like 3:30, 4 o'clock since like the first of January and like going to the gym and like putting myself in like uncomfortable situation. Like the testosterone is real at 4 a.m. Okay. Like all the guys are just like in the gym and I'm like, you know, I'm gonna take up space. Like in my little 5 foot frame, I'm gonna use this squat rack and it's about to be mine and I'm gonna dance to my songs and I'm gonna take up space and not care. Like, and if I were to like walk around upstairs and like do the little dumbbells, like hidden away when I'm like only thinking about wanting that platform downstairs that's free, like actually just walking down there and take the platform to do my squats, it was way easier than me like constantly thinking about actually doing it.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. So it's like, I know that that's not like super big and drastic, but like those little things and like constantly putting myself in uncomfortable situations, it just like growing my confidence and it's exciting. So
Yeah,
this was
totally.
fun.
It could even be something as small as like having to pay a ticket and like
Yes.
thinking like, oh, like dreading it for months and being like, oh, I have to pay this ticket, when you could really just go online and pay it in like 10 minutes and then it's over with.
Yeah,
Um,
I feel that.
but it's like it's the same for like showing up online, especially on video. Like we always think it's going to be super scary and big, but then you actually do it and you're just like, okay, cool. No one really cares. I just posted on my own Instagram account and they chose to watch it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's real.
So yeah, I hope you guys got something out of this call. Let me know if you are going to create that little goal sheet. I would love to see that. Like that's literally the outline that I use in my notes for like the things that I'm doing in life.
Can you screenshot that and send it in the chat and then also link the 2 videos that you shared?
Oh yeah. Okay, so I'll send that in the Solage chat.
Okay.
Yeah, that video, you guys should watch that second video. I should have shown that one. He was talking about just like in my own words, he explained how a lot of people in our generation who are like our age were kind of set up to fail. And just, yeah, you should watch it. I'll send it in there so you can create your own opinion. But I can send I can save the slides and send them in the chat too if you want.
Thank you. That'd be awesome.
Cool. We should have another call soon. Or get back on doing them bi-weekly.
Okay, yeah, we should. Liz, can we collab? Because I honestly need some freaking support doing this stuff. I feel like we could like tag team calls. Like we can be like doing calls together because every time you talk, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have like 20 things that I could be, you know what I mean? Like saying with you.
Wait, we totally should, because I feel like we have so much to share. We just need to organize like what we're actually going to share. Or at least that's my problem. Like I have a lot to say. I just need to think about what I need to say. Or like what I should talk about.
Yeah, me too. My favorite thing you said in the call was about how our business is a mirror and it's like this community is a mirror. And I'm like, damn, that's so true. Like I feel like it just reflects like the lack of like commitment that I really do have and like the lack of energy that I put in. And so now I'm like, I can change that. You know what I mean? I've done it before. I can do it again. I can do it whenever I want.
Well, it's like with the community, like I kind of got to the point where I was like, you could either sit there and complain or be mad that like other people weren't showing up, or you could just start showing up yourself. And then when you start showing up, then other people will start showing up. And that's like goes back to the whole leadership thing. And like making people feel safe.
Yeah, true. Because you started posting in the group and then I noticed like everyone started posting and I'm like, Liz, what's up? What's good with your clout?
I sent a message in the chat one day and I was like, yo guys, start posting in the group.
Okay, yeah, I need to do that too.
That's something I definitely need to do. I feel like I've never visited the Facebook confession.
It's okay. Are you in them? Are you in them at least?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, Liz, I love you. I think we could call it there. Thank you. We can do a call just you and I and talk about team calls together.
Okay, yeah, cool. Let me know.
Okay. I love you. Thanks for doing this. That was so good.
Thanks for staying on so long, guys.
Of course. Thank you. 2023.
Send your feedback into the Soul Ridge chat so people watch the recording.
Okay. Yes. Amen. All right. Love you guys. Have a
Bye,
beautiful
guys.
week.
Love ya.